Hello and welcome to the Pot Stirrers.
A podcast where two brown Catholic South Africans teach you things you didn't learn in high school.
Now, stay tuned for your hosts, the Duke and Dame of Stirring the Pot. But
Hey man, sticky what kind ni? Long time no see and all. Where you hiding ni?
I've been hiding under a rock.
Hello guys, it's Bugz and Bloo.
Hello! Did you miss us?
yeah, it's been a gap week, so to say.
Yeah.
So
I'm good to be back. I'm so excited. I've missed it.
we just needed a break though.
Yeah. So
How are you, Bugs?
I'm
You're
good.
good.
I've recovered from interesting week.
Awe.
So yeah. I'm
It's good
happy,
to-
good
yeah.
to be back,
Awe.
and just wanted to say thank you to our listeners for
Yeah.
bearing with us and understanding that we needed a break, because life happens.
Yeah,
So-
life does indeed happen.
So thank you very much, and we'll do our best not to.
Disappoint again.
Yes, correct.
But much appreciated for the patience and for the understanding
For sure.
and the awesomeness. Right. Shall we get into it?
It's episode 11, guys. Oh my gosh, 1-1. It's so exciting.
So, since it's been a bit of a mad time, it is a mad time with everything going on. I was doing some research on grief. So, grief is not just losing, or not just death. So
Yeah.
there's different types of grief, and there's different stages of grief. So, I thought it'd be good to educate the peoples about the different stages and the different types
Educate the
of
peoples.
grief. Yeah.
Okay, so following on from Mr. Blue,
Yes.
grief was identified by a Swiss American psychiatrist in 1969.
Correct.
Which, if you think about it, was like yesterday, but
Yeah.
anyway. So, and she was a woman!
Yes.
Yay, girl power! Her name was Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and
Correct.
she identified the 5 stages of grief.
Yes.
Those being denial,
Correct.
anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
All right. So the first one, okay, not the first one. We'll explain the stages, but we're just going to give you in this order for now. Then we'll explain later on. So the first one is denial. So basically, we all know what denial is. It's not a river in Egypt. It's pretending.
I did not expect that.
Denial is pretending that the loss or change isn't happening. So it's like you just flat out saying, "Oh, this can't be happening. It's going to be over tomorrow," or whatever it is. It's just, yeah, saying that it's basically saying no to the situation.
Yeah. Or it's like you're still kind of expecting the loved one to be at home,
Yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah.
and then you get there and you're just like, whoops.
Yeah, there's no one there.
Stage 2, if we're treating this as linear,
Yeah.
is anger. So that is when you are just going batshit bananas. And let's be honest, that happens.
Yeah, that does.
When you're grieving anything, whether it's loss of a job, whether it's death, or what's the other one?
Breakups.
Breakups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the stage where you literally like, oh, he was such a bastard, no,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
she did this, she did that, and it's a way of hiding
Your real emotion.
your true emotions,
And your
and
pain.
the loss that you're feeling, and trying to replace pain with anger.
Correct. The next stage is bargaining. So I think this one is not so popular or so well understood. Basically, we all do it. It's when you say, "Oh, what if I did this?" or "If only I did this?" or "What if this happened?"
It's the should've, would've, could've.
Yeah, basically. So when you're in a breakup and you say, "Oh, if only I spent more time with the person," or "If only I gave them more love," or if someone's in a car accident, you say, "Oh, what if I drove them?" or "What if they took this thing?" or
No.
So it's kind of like trying to replace the current situation with a new one.
Yeah.
And that's, I think-
Wishing it didn't happen, kind of thing.
That's also very important for those who overthink, like myself, because we think about every possibility that you under the sun, like in Doctor Strange in Endgame, was it, yeah, in game, right? When he sees the future and says, I've seen so many thousand possibilities. Like, that's what I see in my head, like 3,000 possibilities, and none of them are true. But anyway, that's what bargaining is. Sorry, I mean, oh.
Was that cathartic, Blue?
I don't know, but
So, following from bargaining is, so you usually go through the anger, the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and then you kind of go quiet. That's when you sort of actually processing the grief, the loss. It's also known as the quiet stage. So it's because like you isolate yourself, you just feeling completely overwhelmed with all the feelings, and you just feel confused and your brain feels foggy, and you just like, you're trying to make sense of it. It's the point where you're trying to make sense and find closure in some way, shape or form.
that was the depression stage.
That's depression, correct.
And the fifth and final stage that Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross promulgated is acceptance. So
This has been a fun word for us this last week.
it's a new word, so we're using the shit out of it. So acceptance is that final stage where you finally come to terms with it. You don't not actually come to terms. You begin to come to terms with it. You begin your healing process. Your brain and your heart kind of start to sync up, and your body becomes normal. You get out of that like lazy, muddled up phase.
Yeah, the fogginess.
Yeah, the fogginess begins to clear. You can see there's a silver lining on the cloud. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
You're not just seeing doom and gloom anymore.
You're getting back to the old, the new you, or the new old you, basically.
Yeah.
So that's the 5 stages of grief that Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross discovered or promulgated, came to light. Ooh, a very nice word. The next one is the 7 stages. It's similar to the 5, but there was just people or other of her peers later on in life added 2 more stages to the 5 stages.
Yeah. So, based on her research, it was then broken into shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression. Take note how that doesn't go away. The upward turn, thank God. Reconstruction and working through. Finally, acceptance and hope.
Yeah. Okay. So the shock and denial, as you said, in denial, you saying that doesn't happen. So this is you're in a state where.
Oh my God! How does this happen?
Yeah,
I can't feel anything.
It's you cannot believe what's going on. Your feelings are numbed. You're like, you don't know what to think, what to feel, how to process everything.
You feel like a bus hit you.
Yeah, it's like basically like your body's going to shock, basically.
Exactly.
Kind of, yeah.
And
So-
that's perfectly normal, because
It
like
is,
I
it
mean,
is.
a lot of the time people overlook that. It's like, oh, I could feel like I got hit by a bus, and then you think, but why? I just lost my job, or
It's perfectly normal to feel these things, especially when you in denial and stuff, and it's okay. The thing to remember is not to get stuck into stuck into it.
Yes.
That's the important thing.
And there's more like, what do you call them?
Find words to use.
I'm finding
English
words. Strings of hope.
Oh, right.
Strings
okay.
of hope.
All right.
There's more strings of hope
Yeah.
that we'll highlight
Later
in
on,
a little
yeah,
bit.
Yeah.
So following
Shock
from
and denial.
shock and denial is the pain and guilt. So this is where you'd feel as though the loss that you're facing is completely unbearable. You're just like, I don't even know how to live. And this is important. You begin to make other people's lives more difficult because
yeah.
of what you are feeling and your needs. So it's lashing out at everyone and being like, you don't understand what I'm going through, rah, 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 rah. And yeah, I suppose you're feeling alone at that point.
Yeah. And then from there, you go to anger and bargaining. Now, I think this is where
This one's funny.
when you start telling God that you'll do anything, or whoever you pray to, whatever, you will do anything. You tell the universe, "Okay, I'll do anything, just make this thing
Just
go
bring
away.
this person come
make
back."
make the pain go away, or bring this thing back, or
Please
you know,
don't sell your soul.
yeah, don't do anything stupid like that. So it's trying to buy your way out of the feelings that you are feeling.
Yeah.
It's trying to find a quick fix.
Exactly. It's
So-
because you don't want to sort through and process
Yeah.
everything.
And I
Because
think-
it's a lot.
I think at this point, some people may end up turning to drugs and alcohol or casual sex with random people or something to fill the
Yeah.
void. So I think that's a very important thing to remember when you're going through that, just to put yourself into a positive situation or a neutral situation if you can.
Yeah, so try as best as possible to avoid the anger
Yeah.
and identify that you're
Well-
not angry with the rest of the world.
I
You're-
wouldn't say avoid the anger. Anger can be good. Anger can be.
But don't
good.
take it out on other
Yeah,
people.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's the one. Is that, I mean, let's say one of your parents die, and then all of a sudden you just beating up your other parents
Yeah,
and
that's-
emotionally beating
yeah.
them up and thinking you're
Yeah.
the only person that's in pain.
100%.
Meantime, back at the ranch, your other parent is also brokenhearted.
Yeah. I think at this point we just should have a disclaimer or put it. Bugz and I are not psychologists, psychiatrists, anything in the medical field. So this is not psychological advice. If you do need advice, please seek professional help, and we will give you some tips at the end of the.
That's Brian,
Podcast.
all his disclaimers.
So hey, we don't want people coming and say they told me and then I started beating people and we get sued. I don't have money for that.
Okay, moving along swiftly from not
Your favorite
wanting
one.
to be sued.
Your favorite
dun
one.
dun dun dun. Depression.
And no how it's on its own. So
Yeah,
important.
literally, guys, you're gonna be depressed.
Yeah.
It's perfectly normal.
Hmm.
If you lose something, it's part of grief to be totally sad about it. And don't think that you're an alien because that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Again, this is pretty much a replica of
The initial one,
Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, where you isolate yourself, you're feeling really lonely, and you starting to process. It's the isolation provides the opportunity to process and
to
reflect
reflect.
upon
Correct.
the loss.
Yeah. Because when you're alone, you sit with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can help. Sometimes
Yeah.
it can be negative. So I would suggest try and use that isolation time to be more positive. than
Yeah,
To be
like-
more negative.
and
But then you need that day if you need that day to stay in bed, then stay in bed.
Do what you need to do.
100%.
The other thing with like trying to be positive is that to a large extent humans are wired to just see the bad in everything
Oh, yes, I
because it's
remember
a
you were
safety
saying this,
mechanism.
yeah.
So if you want a strategy to help through that is write stuff down. Make
Oh,
like
yeah.
make like a pros and cons list, and you'll eventually start to see the light, which one is outweighing the other.
I'll speak about writing stuff down later on.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
When we get to the types of grief.
Right.
So-
Tell us about the upward turn
Okay,
blue.
the upward turn. This is
Yay!
this is I think the starting point of your recovery or your journey to starting new life.
For sure.
So like how in your anger and pain you like that's your high point of your I think that would be the high point of your
Yeah, that would be
your
like the
frustration.
pinnacle
Yeah.
of
I think now this
the
is
process.
where you start calming yourself down. You kind of start
You mellowing
thinking-
out.
Yeah. And your mind starts to get a little bit more clearer, and you're just thinking of a way to move forward, and you have hope, and the hope is clearer that you will get
Yeah.
over this.
I
you
can
know
do this, I
you
can do
yeah,
this,
you
I
know
can
you
do
don't have an
this.
exact timeline, but you understand that yes, I
it will
be,
things will
yeah,
go
it will-
right
yeah, it will be.
eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully the panic attacks and the sleepless nights
Yeah, so
and
your
all the
depression
rest
starts.
of it,
Your depression starts
the
going
symptoms
off, and
fade.
I think you should kind of a bit more bubblier and stuff. So
Yeah, you're not in a hole anymore. Now you can reconstruct your life and
Yeah.
actually work through it.
yeah,
So this is kind of step number 6, where you putting the pieces together slowly but surely. You like, okay, I'm not completely hopeless without this person. I can actually drive into town without a chaperone, kind of thing. Yeah, and how to move forward. So it's kind of the stage where you're taking stock of your life and you looking at how to carry on.
yeah. So that was a reconstruction, working through like a building project basically. So if you look at it that way, you can check like when something falls apart, like when you the house and then you start putting the bricks back together. That's that part of it. And then the last one is acceptance and hope.
Whoopee!
So it's not gonna be an overnight thing. It's gonna take time.
Yeah, you don't
but-
just wake up one morning and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm over it.
Yeah, like, but you understand that you feel not only your body, but it's important to know that not only your body is affected, it's your mind, it's your heart, and it's your soul.
Of course.
So when all
Remember,
of those
we're
things,
tri-union
yeah.
creatures.
So and that's when you'll realize that all of those will sync up,
Sync up, for sure.
and you will have this voice in the back of your head saying that, you know what, this is the way forward, and you don't have to give yourself timelines, but you'll know that sooner than later you'll get back to, no, I won't say get back, I think you'll be in a better place, and you'll kind of have a vision of where the better place is.
You kind of figure that, okay, I can't get that back, and now let's...
So you kind of work
There's
around
hope.
it, or you
There's-
work through it, and
exactly.
then you find not a replacement, but something to fill that void that you have, hopefully with something positive. But it should be positive going up from
There's
there.
a type of grief that we forgot to mention, and it is the diagnosis of a terminal illness.
Yeah, so we'll go through the 4 types now. So it's breakup or divorce. So that's if you're in a relationship with someone and you break up with your girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, whatever. Divorce is obviously when you get married and you get divorced. And then the next
Thanks,
one,
genius.
the next one is loss of a job or retrenchment, or you get fired. Death, obviously, that's like the most
commonly known
understood one is death of a loved one, friend, whatever. And the last one is terminal illness diagnosis, when you get told you have 6 months to live, 1 month to live, you have cancer, you have HIV.
And that knocks you for a 6.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in a way, you kind of like dead alive.
Yeah, I think that's
as horrible as that sounds, but I mean, that's probably what it feels like.
In my opinion, that's the worst one for me. Because
there's nothing you can really do.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do. I mean, breakup, divorce, okay, find another one.
Yes.
Loss of a job,
You
go
can
find another
a job, start something on the side, whatever it is.
Someone died, well, what are you gonna do?
You see, with someone dying, you have those memories to fill, and you know that you'll probably meet them in the next life, and you have
point.
someone to support you. When you get diagnosed with the terminal illness, and you know that no matter what treatment you go for, whatever, anytime you can go.
Yeah, that's hectic.
You know what I mean? So, and there's nothing anyone around you can do or say to make that go away. You just have to. That's where the acceptance part.
Yes,
Part is so
because you
important.
need to realize that. Well, I don't know. I've never lived through that, but
Okay, so the breakup and divorce thing, I'll share a little bit of my experience. So on the 29th
he's officially divorced.
Yeah, on the 29th of July, the divorce was granted. So being Catholic now, we go through an annulment process. And then you were speaking earlier about writing it down. So during the annulment process, you have to write down your narrative to submit to the archdiocese for them to approve the annulment.
Catholics, read that document before you get married, please.
And I won't lie, writing that narrative, it takes you from your own childhood, your spouse's childhood, before the marriage, your dating history before the other person, and then your own dating with your spouse, and then the marriage. So it brings up a whole lot of elements. And when you start writing it down, yes, it's extremely difficult to recall the memories and whatever happened and all of that. But at the end of it, yes, it is. It's a roller coaster, because you remember the good times, remember the bad times, and you remember your own history, and you think about their history. But at the end of it, when you sit down and you look at it, and it's all out there, I felt this, like something was off my chest, like, you know, my shoulders were not, it wasn't so tense, it was a little bit relaxed.
Loosened up.
And yeah, it takes a lot stress and anger and pain, and everything comes out when you write it down. And it really is very therapeutic to do, even if you're not Catholic, whatever it is. Even if it's not a breakup or divorce, if it's a loss of a job or whatever, just write something how
Put
you
it down.
feel. Yeah.
Everyone kind of underestimates the power of a pen, but for me, it's the best way to get thoughts out of my head.
Yeah. Okay. Bugz, do you wanna just go on to the next or explain how the stages of grief work?
So another little personal story that we learned about that I learned about is that grief is not linear. Yes, we spoke about 5 stages. Yes, we spoke about 7 stages.
Correct.
But oh my bejesus, you go round and round.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way because I was just like, okay, 10-year relationship, okay, clearly I'm grieving, let's process this.
Yes.
And then I read up on grief and all the rest of it, and I was like, okay, cool story. This is like a bell curve, chill vibes, I can do this. And then poof. I was like, what the hell is going on here? What on earth? So sometimes you will go back and forth between some of the stages. It's mostly the in-between stages, like the anger, bargaining, depression, pain, guilt, those ones where you all gebreek.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that does happen, don't be a twat like me.
I'm glad you said it.
And think that it's a linear process because it's really not.
It isn't. And you know, it's fine. It's totally fine to go back and feel the anger and the hurt again. Even though when you feel that you've accepted and you go back, it's okay. Give yourself time to understand what the process is. Read up on it. Speak to somebody. It's very important, guys, to speak to somebody who is neutral, not someone who's biased. You need someone who's neutral so they can give you both sides.
Yeah, don't talk to your bras. Sorry, bras are just gonna be like, oh, he was such a cake.
Yeah, that's true. So find someone neutral to get it out to, and allow yourself that time, and give yourself.
Also, you may skip some stages.
Yes.
Some people do skip those stages. Unfortunately, I didn't.
You not skip any. You didn't do all of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No, yeah. I don't know.
You can see she's confused.
Yeah, confused. But I'd like to think I'm at the acceptance stage. Blue,
Give it
don't
some
pull
time.
files on me.
No, I won't pull files, I promise. I'm
Thank
not
you.
that mean.
Thanks. So somewhere that you can get help,
Yes.
Blue was talking about speaking to someone else,
Yes.
is SADAG. That's South African
Depression and
and
Anxiety
Anxiety
Group.
Group.
Correct.
Yes. Which is available 24/7. It's a toll-free line available on 0800 456 789.
That if you can count, that's easy. It's
Yeah.
45789.
It's literally
It's like
so
it's
at
like the
any point
Plaza
in
taxi,
time.
789 789. So I'm just okay, anyway.
Yeah, we're just gonna stick with the toll-free number.
Okay.
And there's an email address if anyone wants to make use of that. It's zane@sadag.org.
So it's Zane, it's ZAN for November, E for Echo, and then at SADAG, SADAG.org. But we'll put them in the description as well so you guys can get that.
For sure.
There's also a grief support.
Yeah, I feel like South Africans really underestimate support groups.
Yeah, we do. We're not a culture that is open to sharing our feelings and talking about things, and
It's dumb.
Stupid. Yeah, I was
It's dumb.
It is. Guys, don't be afraid to talk. So you can check them out. There's different grief support groups. There's the Compassionate Friends of South Africa. They have a Facebook page. There's also the Hospice Association of South Africa. I think that's the most common one, where people normally think they're for elderly and sick people, but they're not. They have different facets. And there's also the Kululega Grief Support. So you can check them out.
With retrenchment being rife at the moment and economic yada yadas, we thought we would talk about 7 ways to deal with job loss.
Stay tuned. Part 2, we'll talk about the 7 ways to deal with job loss.
Cheers!